Hello, hello, hello. I am very hopeful that you can hear me. Part of this video will be testing out my new microphone, which is a hyper, hyper X Sound S, I think. I'll get the name for you later if you're interested in the mic. But I found it at Best Buy. It has good reviews on it, and I like the colors, so I had to try it. I had to try it and see what it was doing. Hey Barry, hi real brother. And Barry, thanks for getting me back into the motivation of YouTube. All right, so this morning, this is news I saw last night actually. So we know that Twitter had layoffs. It was reported that they laid off half of their staff due to who buying Twitter, right? So we know Elon Musk recently bought Twitter for $44 billion. So with that purchase, one of the first things Elon has done is laying off 3,700 people. But guess what? That's not all. This just happened last week. But now there's reports, and I'm going to pull up my reference here. It's crazy. So Bloomberg is reporting that Twitter is now asking the people that they just laid off to come back, right? So the Twitter management is trying to bring back dozens of workers. Now, not everybody, handfuls of people, and that they're saying that some employees are now needed or they were laid off by mistake. Now let's backtrack a bit. So we know Elon Musk bought the company for $44 billion. Who owned the company before? Well, the founders were actually four people, and I have them listed out. So most of you know Jack Dorsey. He was the CEO of Twitter before Elon Musk purchased it. There was also Noah Glass, Biz Stone, and Evan Williams, who were the original co-founders. So that happened in 2006. Now, former CEO Dorsey has actually taken the blame for the layoffs at Twitter. He said, I own responsibility for why everyone is in the situation they're in. He grew the company size too quickly, and he says, I apologize for that. But he's out. He's not the CEO anymore, right? This is all Elon Musk. So what do you all think about that? Now, I have to point this out too, because this gets a little bit into the money situation. So there's a couple things that Elon Musk is speculated to do with this purchase. So he has a couple of those. He wants to remove the blue check mark from anyone that's not paying for it and give the verification to anyone, the blue check mark, to anyone that will actually pay for it, which is interesting. Hey, Natural Risha. Interesting, right? That was crazy, is what Natural Risha is saying. I heard they were going to start paying people for posting content on there. Well, that's interesting because what is being reported is they want to revamp their subscription service. So before they were going to do $4.99 to subscribe, but now they're bumping it to $7.99 to get a Twitter subscription. Interesting, right? Some of the other goals that Elon Musk has stated is he wants to bring back freedom of speech, or he wants to advance free speech, right? So he plans, this is what has been reported, and this is from NPR News. He plans to bring back people like Trump and others that have been banned from the platform for different things that they've said in the past. What do you all think about that? That's interesting too, because as a result of that thinking, advertisers have actually pulled back, right? So General Motors, I believe, was one that pulled back from their advertising. And that's a big chunk of money. That's how a lot of these social platforms are making their money, right? So this is a tweet that Elon Musk said in regards to the financing. Regarding Twitter's reduction in force, unfortunately, there is no choice when the company is losing over $4 million a day. Everyone exited was offered 3 months of severance. So severance pay, most companies, if they're, even some companies when they terminate an employee and it's not technically a layoff, will provide some form of severance payments. 3 months of severance, I would say that is, you know, depending on how long you've been at the company, right? Because if you've worked at Twitter since 2006 or for, extended period of time, that actually doesn't sound like that much. So I would want to know, okay, so everyone just got 3 months. What about people that have, really long tenure there? Because typically it's going to be tougher for them or longer for them to find that right next opportunity. When you're a management or you haven't been on the job for search for 10, 15 years, that's a big change. So a lot of companies do pay more for that. And they're going to save more money by laying people off in the end. So he said, this is 50% more than legally required. And I really think it goes beyond legalities. It's more about treating your people right. Doing right by your people. 3 months doesn't sound like a lot to me in terms of severance payment, especially for people now, for people that maybe just joined a year ago or a couple months ago, sure. But for people that have been with the company longer, I would hope they would have had more severance pay for those folks, but who knows? Okay, so getting back to the other points. So we talked about Jack Dorsey. He took the responsibility. Musk said there was this huge drop in revenue, losing 4 million a day. And several companies, including, I'm sorry, it was General Mills, not General Motors. General Mills, Volkswagen, and Pfizer, they stopped their Twitter advertisements because of their concerns over content moderation. And I believe that to be this talk of, okay, everyone is going to be like the Wild Wild West. Anyone can say whatever they want. Bring that back, which let me know your thoughts on it. I think, obviously companies have the right to pull back if they don't like what the content is that's out there. So, in addition to the mass layoffs, Musk wants to find up to 1 billion in annual infrastructure cost savings. This is reported by Reuters. He said he wants to have steep cuts, but folks are saying that it could put the platform stability at risk, and people were warning him of that. Twitter is also facing a class action lawsuit that was filed last week by current and former employees who said the company gave insufficient notice of the cuts under state and federal law. Now, they gave the news via email. 3,700 people gave them the news via an email. That's what has been reported. That's tough. It's a lot of people, but typically that's not how that scenario is handled. It's normally via conversation. Even in this environment, if folks are working from home, it would be online conversations. What do you think about that? It's just a mess. But they need people back because the goals that Elon Musk has at play, he actually needs those people. So some of the people were laid off, but he actually needs them. He wants to launch some new features. He wants half the ads. He wants the ability to post longer videos. So that may come into play with Natural Larisha. He might be wanting more podcasts on there because Joe Rogan, a top podcaster, he actually was going back and forth on Twitter with Elon Musk about, he was kind of upping him for talking about free speech. So folks are saying that he does have some stake in Twitter. Maybe he wants it to be more of a platform for podcasters, who knows? And he also wants to get priority ranking in replies, mentions, and searches. There's also the new subscription service. So he wants to do a lot of things, but he won't have the people to do them because if let's say he lays off people, And when I originally saw the news, I was thinking, well, does he just want to clean up shop and just hire all new people there to maybe they want to change the culture or something? But it seems like it was just not planned well. They sent the news via email. Now they're trying to get people back and saying that some people were laid off by mistake. How do you mistakenly lay off someone? That just doesn't make sense. So that is the news. That is what's happening. I just feel for the people that are in this scenario because I mean, definitely got blindsided and caught up in the mix with this purchase, and then also hearing Jack Dorsey say, "Oh, well, we hired too many people. Okay, how are you going to help these folks now?" Again, because 3 months of severance, I don't really think that does that well. Typically, it takes 3 months to find a job, but it depends on the person's scenario. That's a typical person, maybe a junior level person or a mid level employee that has some experience, they're pretty marketable. But for management roles, those VP, director, I mean, those don't come as often. Those type of openings don't come as often as others. And those are also typically roles that companies will want people to be in person. So what about people that may be relocated for jobs and things like that? Or maybe they can't relocate for jobs. That makes it tougher too. What do you all think about all of this? It's wild. It is wild. After all, Larisha said, yeah, he laid them off on purpose. Well, of course, he purposely laid them off, but it's like, well, how do you now say, oh, oops, some of y'all were laid off on accident. Can y'all come back? Because here's the other aspect of it. If you need someone's skill set and you've now laid them off, and you have to go into the marketplace to find that same talent, so you got rid of this person, but you actually need a person like them. Well, now you're likely going to have to pay more because this is what I feel like a lot of people don't talk about either, but there is cost savings with laying off a person, right? But most of the time, the current employees are not being paid to the market. So if you're needing to go out into the existing marketplace where candidates are well paid and their expectations are elevated outside of what you are paying your employees, that may cause you to go, oops, we have to pay this much for that talent. Maybe we just need to bring this person back over here. That's another aspect of it. Now, of course, you would think out of the goodness of their hearts, if they have the opportunity and they're saying, actually, we can bring you back now, they would do so. Like what we saw with the 2020 Rona scenario, where employees really had to get, lay people off, unfortunately, because it was this huge impact. But then later, when they could, and it was financially smart to do so, they were able to bring people back. That's a different scenario than, oops, we just laid you off. We didn't mean to. So I can get why there's some class action lawsuits going on because they didn't give notice. And I do believe the original round of employees that were laid off, they had notice. That was my understanding. So it could be this question of, well, you gave them notice, you didn't give us any notice. That's not fair. Now, I don't know that to be true, but I'm wondering. It's just me pondering, right? So a lot of people are talking about this. And these conversations, why people know about these managers trying to get people that were laid off back is because of an app, if I can talk straight, it's because of an app that I shared with you all called Blind. Remember we did that video where I shared a couple of apps where you can get some insider information about companies. Like if you're trying to interview at a certain company, you're trying to get in the door, you have an offer at a company, you're trying to figure out, oh, is this a good offer or not? You just want to know about the company culture, whatever you need to know. Uh, Blind is a great app for that. And this is how they found out. An insider was the one to report it. They said some laid off Twitter employees say they're being asked to come back to Twitter after mass layoffs, right? And it was due to these blind posts. So This person says on Twitter, multiple sources and Twitter blind chats now saying the company has begun to reach out to some people it laid off yesterday, asking them to come back. Whoops. This is from Casey Newton on Twitter. Insider also surveyed the Blind app, a professional community where verified employees, you do have to be verified, you have to have your company email, have anonymous conversations and found posts indicating Twitter employees who the company had laid off had been asked to come back. One user wrote, "It's true. I was asked to come back Saturday morning," while another simply said, "Can confirm." Twitter didn't immediately respond to Insider's request for comment. Of course they didn't. Of course not. Geez, that is a mess. And I honestly, I think I've said on this on YouTube before, I just saw that whole purchase as a mess because of how it seems Elon Musk tends to work. The decisions are, they seem like sporadic. And I'm really interested to see how things play out. I definitely hope they can bring back a lot of the people. But the question for me as an employee, I would wonder, well, do I even want to come back? You just offered me the severance. Maybe I need to just explore my options, um, especially take some time, think through, what I want to do from here. It may not make sense to go back. But I can also understand people that do return and just say, listen, this buys me some time. And then I imagine those folks are probably looking for a job because it just doesn't give the right, it just doesn't communicate anything good to your workforce. It's about trusting, right? It's about trusting the company. Like, are you going to treat me well? I don't know. I don't know about this. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to close this out. But I just wanted to provide the update because I just thought that was wild. Typically, layoffs are really vetted and fully detailed into, okay, do we have to do this? Is this our only option? Why are we doing it for every single person? And for over 3,000 people, closer to 4,000 people, you would think that would have been vetted out even more so because of the people that you're impacting, the sheer number of people. But for some, maybe they're not people and they're more numbers. I don't know. But I wish all the best for Twitter. I wish all the best for the employees and former employees. And with that, let me know what you think in the comments. Nice to see you all in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Soul Humanist. Exactly. How do they know who to cut? It sounds like they didn't think about that very much. And hello, Pow Pow. Everyone was coming in here while I'm getting off. Nice to see you as well, Pow Pow. Hope all is well with you. Natural Alicia says, yep, it's wild. It is wild. Let me know if you want me to report more on it as we follow along with the stories. And with that, I will see you all later. I will be going live later tonight. I think it's 6:30 Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. See you all later. Have a lovely Monday. Bye.